The difference between where you are at the moment and where you want to be is just information. So the university you want to apply to, the scholarships you're aiming at, the country you want to travel to, if you had enough information to let you know that it is possible and how you can do it, probably it would have been easier. You would have been there by now. So on the Study Abroad podcast, what we do is to invite individuals who is already at where you want to be, the university you want to study at, the country you want to travel to, the scholarships that you are aiming at. People have already done that. So what I do is to invite them. They share their process with you, how they did it, so that it will be easier for you to do it. I keep on repeating that. This that if people who were successful with a process were able to tell us how they did it, it makes it easier for you and I to do it. This is the biggest study abroad content platform, and it's called the Fred Effect platform. We are live on YouTube on the Fred Effect Study Abroad content platform. We are live on Facebook, the Fred Effect. We are also live on Instagram, X, as well as TikTok. Be part of the family if you want to study abroad. If you are seeing this for the first time, tell a family member, tell a friend, tell a colleague at work that if you want to study abroad, there is this platform that I've identified. It's called the Fred Effect. Go and follow, go and subscribe, go and like the page so that when anytime a new information is posted, mostly the content I post about maybe free application scholarships, they usually have deadlines. So if you subscribe, it makes it easier. Immediately a new content is posted, you'll be the first to be notified so you can check it out, and you can catch up with the deadlines. Today, and if you're seeing this for the first time, we do this and every weekend. And today we'll be selecting two lucky people who we will mentor through this Canada study abroad process. My guest today is currently in Canada, and she's going to walk us through how she was able to do it and how you can do it. Where is she from? What was her academic qualifications? Which schools did she been applied to? So that you can also learn from it. The good thing about this is that we are not only showing you the way, we are also happy and willing to assist you. Sometimes you can tell people all it takes to get something done, but they just need a little hand, a little assistance to go through. And that's what we are willing to do. Not only showing you the way, but willing to assist you. How do you get this assistance? To be part of the platform by clicking on the like, the share, and also subscribing. Follow if you're watching us on Facebook or Instagram. Then what you do is that you answer the question. You type the time at your end. What country are you watching us from? And also, is Canada on your study abroad destination list? Let us know if Canada is on your study abroad destination list. If yes, why yes? If no, why no? Which school in Canada have you already submitted an application to or is willing to apply to? My name is Fred. Please understand that there's a lot of ways that we can communicate with you. I make sure that it's a more positive and inspiring manner. I want you to understand that it is highly possible. It's not as difficult as you make it seem. It's not as hard as you think it is. People have already done it, so you can also do it. Let me bring my guest on, and then we get started. Once you type your comment, you like, and then you subscribe, you automatically join. You join the draw, which we do every weekend, but today we'll be selecting two people, so definitely you'll be the lucky one. So type your comment, you automatically enter the draw. We make the draw, and then we select two people to go through the process for free. Let me bring my guest on, and let's get going. Hi, Sister Lydia, how you doing?
Hello. I'm doing very well, thank you. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for your time. Let us understand, which country are you now, and specifically which province or city?
I'm currently in Canada. I'm in the Ontario province. Yeah, that's where I am. Been here for a
Esinam,
while.
Esinam means you're not from Canada. So which country are you from in Africa?
All right. I'm from Ghana. I'm 100% aware. Yeah, I lived all my life in Accra. So I see all the Ghana people in the chat. Shout out to you all.
How do you say how are you in Ever?
F1. I
F1.
think a lot
That's
of
the
people
only
know
that's the
that.
only Ever I can speak. So
Really?
yeah.
I'll teach
So
you. I'll teach you more. Don't worry.
F1. How do you respond? A.
F1, just say AM F1.
Oh, okay, okay. Are you
Yeah.
close to the Novopo area, or you're not there yet?
Hey, no. I am mostly from the Kwando area,
Okay.
so yeah, my both parents are from the Kwando district, so it's pretty much easier.
All right. So that is my guest. She's gonna explain to us how she was able to move from being in Accra and then or moving from Accra to where she is at the moment. Talk to us about your academic qualifications. What was your highest academic qualification prior to relocating?
Right. Before I start with that, I just want to say thanks for the opportunity to be here. It's an honor. I've been following you a lot, and I'm really glad, and I find it great to be here and to talk about this. So my academic qualification, basically, I had my master's before I moved. I had my master's in 2019 at the Accra Business School. Before that, I had my bachelor's in communication studies with PR major, and then I went in fintech for almost 8 years before I moved here to Canada.
So does that mean that you moved to Canada to pursue a PhD?
No, not necessarily. I always grown up wanted to, move to Canada, travel to Canada. I really didn't know how I was going to come to Canada, right? But then I found a study route as an option or an opportunity that presented itself, and then I took advantage of that.
So that means that for people who think that it's only masters or PhD that can, you know, um, help me study abroad, that is not the case.
No, not necessarily.
So
You clearly need to find out which path you want to go for,
okay,
right?
all right.
Yeah,
And that leads me to a lot of people are of the view currently, and let's clear the air that
got it.
right now it is difficult to move to Canada. You are there, you have been through the process. Talk to us about it. Should we stop applying to universities in Canada? Is it difficult to come to Canada?
Right. Oh, I must say that over the last year, right, there's been a number of changes. And I also would like to say a disclaimer that I'm not an immigration consultant.
Right.
I'm only an education consultant. They're two different things, right? Yes, I know that over the years, Canada has been a little demoralizing because of
Mhm.
the numerous immigration changes, but I also feel that it's important because the government or the immigration is trying to straighten up a number of things. So
Right.
even though you may get refusals and all of that, but I know people who have also been approved. So it's still a great place to live and want to build your life, but
Mhm.
not to give up on it that Canada is not welcoming. It is very welcoming if you ask me, but you still have to put your best foot forward.
I see. So, is it possible? Is it that now Canada is no more accepting applications from international students or are not granting visas to international students? Is it possible for people to still apply? Let's clarify that first.
Yes, very 100% yes. 100% yes. That you still can apply. The good thing is you need to be able to look out for programs that are PGWP eligible. I
Mhm.
mean, after the changes in this year, for instance, the immigration and IRCC came up with a CIP code where programs need to be aligned with the CIP codes, right?
Okay.
So you have to be sure that the programs you are applying for are in line with the CIP codes. Basically, this code is to say that you need to fit in the job stream market after your
Mhm.
education. So
Okay.
mostly in our consultations, we don't just look at the programs you want to offer. We are thinking about your career path after your education, which is very important because if you just go and apply for any program at all, at the end of the education, you may not be eligible for postgraduate permit, right? So that is very important from the beginning.
All right. So that is very important from the beginning.
Yeah.
You're just tuning in. I'm speaking with Lydia Essenam, and today we are going to not only open your eyes on how things that should be done, but also would be happy to hold your hand. So what you need to do is to answer the question of the day. Is Canada on your study abroad destination list? It's more or less like the most favorite study abroad destination for a lot of students.
I
Just that
know.
recently there has been changes. So if there has been changes, talk to us about the changes now. Initially what was it, and now what has been the new change that people should know about if they want to study in Canada?
Right. So within the 2 year period that I have migrated, right, I'd like to start from on top of my head some of the changes that have happened in the last
Okay.
years. One of it would be that the government introduced what we call provincial attestation letters, which are given by the provinces. I know Quebec and other French Canada provinces had already had that in place, but others like Ontario and the other provinces no, didn't have that. So they introduced what we call provincial attestation letter (PALS). Now, what happened was that private colleges didn't have these allocations within Ontario. And so private colleges now do not accept, do not, you can't be able to qualify for PALS within private colleges in Canada. I mean, in Ontario
Yeah.
specifically. There are other private colleges in other provinces like British Columbia or Nova Scotia, which you can enroll in. Now, so aside that, there was also a change early on where spouses will not be eligible for spousal open work permits in a college or a postgraduate program.
Hmm.
Now they have to be enrolled in a master's degree to be able to get the spousal open work permit.
Okay.
And also you need to be able to be enrolled in a 16 month or more of a master's program before you can qualify for the 3 year postgraduate work permit.
Hmm.
Another thing that came up early this year was the cap for study permit approval, which was at a 35% reduction. So, meaning a lot more people are seeing refusals for visas this year than ever before.
Okay.
And so that's also another change. And there's been a number of changes as well with the CIP codes that I mentioned earlier, and also with the new um, working hours for students, which used to be 20 hours and now it's 24 hours. And also with
Oh,
DLI
so
changes.
that one has improved rather, right? So students
Yeah,
and let's make a comparison here. In the US, you can only work as a student 20 hours on campus. Now in
right.
Canada, is it possible to work off campus or you are
Yes,
restricted to on
off
campus?
campus for 24.
Okay, so earlier it used to be 20, now it's
It
24.
used, in fact, it used to be 40 hours just post COVID, right?
Okay.
And then it went back to 20 hours up
Mhm.
until this fall 2024, which is now 24 hours.
The question most people want to find out is that, okay, so if I am a student in Canada, I am not
Right.
on a scholarship, working 24 hours, do you think that is enough? Averagely, notwithstanding the province, do you think that is
Hmm.
enough to be able to pay for my college education?
Great. Honestly, if you are not in a scholarship, my advice would be do not overly, um, rely on your work wages, because the
Mhm.
wages currently, even in Ontario, is about 16.4 something, a
Mm.
little about 16, right? And other provinces may have up to like 17. So if you really look at it, 17 times the 24 hours,
Right.
it may not really cut out for your tuition. So mostly I tell people that at least pay the full first year if you can, and
Mhm.
or come prepared before you enroll in school. That way you don't really have to be thinking about your tuition, because rent alone can take a chunk of your wages, right? So if you're making less than 2,000 or 3,000 a month, imagine how much is going to go in rent and how much you're going to pay for
All
your
right.
tuition if you're not getting any scholarships, right? So you really need to have a plan um, about how you go about these things.
All right. So you really need to have a plan. And of course, a plan is needed if you want to do anything. All right. My name is Fred. This is the biggest Study Abroad content platform. If you're joining us, you're welcome. This is the Study Abroad podcast with the Fred Effect. What we do is to invite individuals who have been through the Study Abroad process to share their experience, their journey, their processes with you, so that it makes it easier if you want to go through the process. We've established that it is not that Canada has stopped accepting international students. They are.
Yeah,
However, there has been some decrease in terms of visa, it being issued because they want to control their population. But it is still possible that if you want to study in Canada, you can do it. Now, initially, there used to be a limit in terms of, how much of bank statement you should produce before you go for your visa interview. Talk to us about that. Has it increased? Has it reduced? What is it at the moment?
Right. So requirements with regards to study permit applications before 2024 was at 10,000 Canadian dollars, right?
Okay.
So you need to show 10,000 Canadian dollars, which represented your living expenses and
Mhm.
your first year tuition fees. But after 2024 and the changes that came with PGWP eligibility, it increased to 20,650 or so. So we will mostly run it up to a 21,000. So you
Okay.
need to show 21,000 Canadian dollars plus your first year tuition. That's how much you have to show. And that's what you have to show with regards to the visa application. Now, over the years, there's been a number of parameters that the IRCC have been looking out for. And this is only based on experience with working with our licensed immigration consultants, where immigration wants to clearly understand how you are building your bank account. Because they see that a lot of people will just put in a chunk of money like 10,000 cedis,
Mhm.
50,000 cedis, and that is not your regular, spending or deposit
Exactly.
transactions, right?
Mm.
So they clearly need to understand how did you come up with this money? What work do you do? Show your pay slip. And what they like is transparency, right?
Mhm.
So people would like to use sponsors and all of that, but the more sponsors you show, the more supporting documents that you have to show to prove all of these things. Because you cannot just say that you work at a bank or as any role and not show anything. They need you to explain your finances and how you came up with a total of say 400,000 Ghana cedis, right?
Yes.
So they really would like to see that. And there's been a number of inconsistencies as well when people are applying for their visas. It's something that you really, really need to, be of very particular to the T, right? So
Mhm.
people may be make mistakes with their names, programs, the amounts they have. There's a form you fill and then the bank accounts and all that. The form you fill, the funds there should be equal to how much you are putting up in your bank account and how much you
Right.
want to explain for. Even in their motivation letters, there are some inconsistencies with the tuition payments, their living expenses, the total amount in their bank account. The inconsistencies are all there. So you really need to do a thorough check when you
Mhm.
are putting up all these documents to apply for your visa.
My guest today is Lydia Essenam. She is in Canada and she's very versed in the study in Canada process because she's been through the process and also has helped a lot of people. She has a YouTube channel which we'll be talking about very soon. So I need you to subscribe to the YouTube channel because there's a lot of information that she puts on there. And this is the YouTube channel is called Lydia Essenam. What's the name? What's the meaning of Essenam? No.
Esinam basically means that the Lord has heard me.
And how about Enyinam?
Enyona means it is good for me, right? Like the Lord has been good to me, basically.
All right. So the name of the YouTube channel is called Lydia Essenam. Talk to us about your YouTube channel. Why should we subscribe?
Great. So, interestingly, my YouTube channel has transitioned over the years. When
Right.
I started it, I was talking about customer service within Ghana, where I used to work in customer service for a fintech company. Dream
Mhm.
Overall now is Kari.app. So I used to share that customer support secrets. And then I was sharing all of that until I started my move to Canada and I shared tips there as well about moving to Canada, the things you need to do. And my process was more of a DIY. I did it myself. I did everything
Okay.
myself. So I basically just documented the process and said everything. And then when I moved to Canada, I realized that people would want to, get to know how they can settle in, the things they have to do, what they shouldn't do, how they should book their flight ticket, how they should get here, and have everything sorted to them. So I basically was just, putting up my journey on there. And then I started to work in education consultancy and then I started to share tips about studying in Canada and all of that. So that's basically how my YouTube has transitioned. Basically, it's more of customer experience, education, lifestyle. I also would have convos with Lydia where I would interview people who are here in Canada. They share their experiences. They shared how they've been in Canada, how long they've been here, and all of that. So it's been pretty interesting.
All right. So, if you want to study in Canada, then check out Lydia Esinam. So, you go to YouTube. It's Lydia, then space Esenam. So, talk to us. You had a master's degree in Ghana. Why then? What actually ignited your interest to study abroad then?
So, like I said at the beginning, I have always wanted to travel to Canada, right? But I
Mhm.
didn't know how to. I remember in 2019 or 2018, before my master's, I was looking into University of Alberta, and the tuition fees I was seeing and all that was just too much, right? And that's
Right.
where it's important to have people like you or myself helping people to figure things out, because it looks like it's a very tough journey, but if you don't have anyone to help you or encourage you, it kind of like feels like it's not possible.
Yeah.
So even though I had had my master's, I really just wanted to come in and then figure my steps out, my way out. Basically, it's important, like putting your best foot forward or just getting your foot in the door does a lot, right? So once you get in, you'll be able to figure out next step. So it didn't matter if I had a master's or bachelor's, I still needed to come here and still study. I mean, I love academia, right? So there's nothing like you are studying too much. I just love it.
Okay. What is your bachelor's degree in? What is your master's in? And what did you move to Canada to study?
Right. So my bachelor's was in communication studies from GIJ, now UMAG, and I majored in public relations.
Mhm.
And then my master's was in master's in business administration with Accra Business School, and then I moved here with a business management to Canada.
Okay, so that was a master's degree, or it was another bachelor's degree.
The Canada was a diploma program.
Okay, so
It was a
people
diploma.
mostly think that once you have a bachelor's, you have a master's. The next step you need to move to is a PhD. But
Hmm.
it doesn't necessarily work like that. You could have a master's and still apply for a diploma program.
Yes, you could. And that's because Canada, for instance, allows you to be able to change your career path.
Mhm.
If you're, for instance, you did business and let's say for some reason you're looking to start out in healthcare, they can allow you to do that. The only thing is you need to have a strong motivation to why you want to change your career path or
Mhm.
change your industry. We've had people who've been in different fields and they've changed drastically to a different field because that's where they want to pursue their career goals. And Canada allows you to do that 100%.
Let's take away the banks, the flight ticket issue. Now, and I know exchange with things have changed. If somebody
Yeah.
want to study in Canada now, maybe diploma, and let's explain the diploma in Ghana. If you say diploma, it's like 2 years or 3 years of post secondary education. How is the Canadian system like?
Right. So Canadian for per se is such that even within high school, you are
Mhm.
graduating with a diploma, which is the OSSD,
Okay.
Ontario Secondary School Diploma. So technically, if you graduate from secondary school, you are
Mhm.
graduating from a diploma, right? Now, there are also colleges that
Okay.
offer diploma and say postgraduate programs. Those
Mhm.
are post-secondary programs. They are
Okay.
not the secondary qualification. So those are post-secondary programs, and mainly what happens is within these diploma colleges or polytechnics, they mostly give you a more practical approach to
Mhm.
education. So it's more practical than theory, right?
Okay.
When we go for the school tours, you see most of the schools and all the investment they've done in practicalizing the theories, whatever they teach. Universities, and then from there you get the college diploma or postgraduate, which is the Ontario Graduate Certificate,
Mhm.
which can be a year or two depending on the program. And then you would have your master's degree, which is more professional, right? And then we have universities as well that run almost the same curriculum, but universities are more, I would say, more of research and more of it's like more research based, right? That's how they have less of the practical approach than the colleges would. So that's just a little different. But eventually, you would end up with the same certification or credentials.
Would you say it is much easier for somebody coming to study a master's degree to get their study permit approved compared to someone coming from a postgraduate diploma or something?
Honestly, if I would say that, I would say that at the end of the day, it's the visa officer that makes the decision, right?
Okay.
We've had people who have opted to do a master's degree and had
Mhm.
their visas refused, and we've had
Mhm.
people who do college programs and they've gotten their visas approved. So I think at the end of the day, it depends on your documents, right? And how best you are. You put out a great motivation letter and how transparent you are in your documentation for your visa application. Ultimately, that's the most important thing because even if you get approved or offered a program in school, the most important part of your journey is your visa. Once you
Okay.
get it refused, it's like, then there's no point going back to school, you know? So the most important thing in your journey is your visa, technically. So you have to give it like the ultimate concentration.
You work with a team that assists people to go through the Canadian study abroad process. You explain to us how people will get in touch with you. So if there is somebody who wants to study in Canada now, the most question I get is how much should they estimate?
Right. So, like I said again, depending on the program of study.
Mhm.
So, in terms of tuition, for instance, this is only tuition, right? Tuition alone for, let's say, college to postgraduate will be between 16 to 20,000.
Okay.
Same as universities. Then for master's programs, it will be something from 35,000 upwards. It could go all the way to 50,000, depending
Mhm.
on the program. More MSc project management and health related will be more expensive on that pedestal. Interestingly, some universities, if you have a strong SOP, a strong GPA, if you have GMAT, which is very good, you could get an entrance scholarship for maybe up to 8,000 to 10,000. And depending on how good you are able to put up your statement, you could get some level of scholarship. So totally depends on the university and how you structured your statement of purpose or statement of intent. So that's how it works in terms of tuition. I mean, we serve a number of student portfolio from high
Mhm.
school to college and then university. So it depends on the students and their needs and how much they're willing to put into. So tuition, I would say, depending on the program of study and sometimes the university. Yeah.
Right. Can you pull your camera a little bit forward? If you're just tuning in, I'm speaking with Lydia Essenam. She has been through the process originally from Ghana. She's sharing her experience and how you can do it. She also worked with a team that assists people to go through the process. There is nothing like somebody who have gone through the process, is in the system, and holding your hands to help you through. How do we get in touch with your team? What do you guys actually do to help people who want to study in Canada?
Got it. So I work with Worry Africa mainly, and it's a group under the Worry Education Group. Worry Education has been in existence for over 2 decades. So they've been in the business for education, 7 different continents. From aside Africa, we serve Vietnam, Korea, Asia, Philippines, think you name it. And so that's what we're doing. We have direct partnerships with over 200 schools in Canada. And I'm happy to say that towards the coming year, we are starting to assist students to the United States of America because we believe that students need to, open up their spectacle and look
Right.
into other places. I've also realized that in my last month of research, I've realized that the US also is very generous with scholarships,
Yeah.
which my people are always looking out for. So I'm always for that for them. And so if you want to reach out to us, you can send an email, africa@worry.ca, or just look for Worry Africa anywhere on Instagram or YouTube or basically yes, and a Facebook.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
there's a WhatsApp number that I'm showing on the screen. Is that correct?
yes, perfect. That WhatsApp number comes directly to us, and We are more than happy to assist you on your journeys. Um, yeah, and we serve for the whole of Africa, not just Ghana. So, I mean, I've had interesting clients from across Africa.
Interesting. All right. If
Right.
you're just tuning in, you're not late. I'm speaking with Lydia Essenam. Lydia Essenam has been through the process originally from Ghana, and she's sharing her journey, how she was able to get it done. Now, most people are of the argument that you should apply to universities or colleges that are postgraduate work permit, that gives postgraduate work permit. Interestingly, you did not apply to such. Talk to us about that. What happened? How did you do that?
Great, great, great. So, when I did tell you that when I started the process, I didn't really have like anyone to guide and all of that. But
Right.
eventually, when I came in, I noticed that it wasn't a postgraduate eligible program or school.
So, which
And
means that
for
you didn't
me,
know from the beginning that
so I didn't know from the beginning. Yes, clearly I didn't know
okay,
from the beginning. But I mean, I didn't want it to be like I've had most people in the past who came in, realized that their school was not postgraduate permit eligible, and then they didn't go to school, right?
yeah,
And that is you are at fault before immigration. You are at fault, right?
mhm,
So you need to really prove that you actually enrolled in school, whether it's PGWP eligible or not. You just go to when you are done or before you are done, you figure your next step. And so
right,
that's what I did because I'd already invested so much. I didn't see myself not going to school or not, um, seeking to the conditions of my study permit because
mhm,
once you default, if anything goes wrong, you'll be faulted, right?
yeah,
And so I really wanted to stick to the conditions of my study permit, and that's why I'm here. So towards the end of my program, technically what everyone does basically is you are allowed to extend your study permit, and that's what we do. You mean in the great thing about the non PGWP eligibility is that it was an easy pathway to come into Canada, but after that, you need to be able to enroll in a PGWP eligible program or whatever your next step. And there are other pathways at the time. I don't know if I think it's a little non-existent, which is the LMRA. You could be able to get companies that would want to enroll you and sponsor your work permit. So that's basically also a pathway. And that's one thing about Canada. There are a number of pathways that you can take advantage of. It's not a straight jacket rule where it says that once I'm going to school, I get my
I love
work
that. I
permit,
love
I
that.
get my
I love that.
PR. No, like
I
keep
need
an
you to
open
repeat that.
mind.
That some people think that the process that they went through, that should be the path for everybody. It doesn't
No,
work like that. It's not a
no,
strict
it doesn't.
jacketed rule that everybody should go through this.
Yeah,
Some people, their process sort of meanders, and it technically has to do with life. Yeah,
exactly.
you never
Exactly.
know how life will twist and turn you. So
Yeah,
if you were a first class student and that is how come you got your scholarship, it doesn't mean that the person who had a second class upper or a low CGP cannot do it. Just that they have to
perfect.
follow a different path.
Exactly. And
I love
that's the thing. I always tell my clients that I treat every student as a case by case, right? I have a
that.
persona for every client, right? Because they have maybe experiences or professional experiences that may be of great value to them when they immigrate
Right.
later.
Yeah.
Because I always tell people that PR is not guaranteed, right? The fact that you are coming in to study does not guarantee your PR. However, there are other immigration policies and pathways that you can take advantage of. Like
Mhm.
things are changing every now and then. And so you as an individual need to position yourself and take advantage of them. Mostly when immigration pass policies, schools, everybody involved do not have control over it. But what
Yeah.
can you do is be able to, figure out what to do next, right? So just people need to keep an open mind, like coming in and just trying to say, I want my PR, I want my PR. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Just go through whatever process it is, take advantage of policies and provincial nominee programs, all of those things, right? And then you'll be successful on the journey. Yeah.
All right. So people with lower CGPA, are there opportunities for them in Canada as well?
Yes, there are. There are. So one thing I always tell people that it's not just about your academic background, right?
Mhm.
So For instance, if you're applying for a program, the fact that you may be considered may not just be your academic background, it may be your professional background. Let's
Okay.
say you did your bachelor's in um, communication studies or
Mhm.
administration, and you got a GPA of say 2.5, 2.2, whatever, and then you started working in an IT firm for like 3 years, right? And so you have developed a professional experience within the IT industry. That alone could qualify you into an IT related program like business analytics or business data analytics
Mm.
or financial analytics, depending on the industry you worked in, if it was fintech. So you need to clearly, and that's one thing immigration looks out for, your program of study should be in either your academic or your professional background. So these
Okay.
two things sort of like qualify you. So even though you may have a CGPA in your bachelor's or say 2.5 or 2.3, whatever it is,
Mhm.
but you have a resume showing that you have some experience of say 2 years or 3 years to 5 years, that could qualify you to get into a program. And if you're applying for a more research based program, if you have a strong letter of intent, and let's say you have a GMAT, GRE, or SAT, you could be able to qualify for scholarship. So it depends on everybody, right? And you really need to position yourself well.
All right. So let's talk about your team. What sort of assistance do you give to people? Do you take their document, work on the application for them? Do you guide them to apply? Exactly what do you do for your clients?
Perfectly. So let me take you through like a customer journey from my end. So
Mhm.
basically, you get in touch with me in your first meeting. You set it up. The first meeting is basically like your meeting than my meeting, right?
All
So
right.
the first meeting is basically to listen to you, listen to what your goals are, listen clearly like what you want to do, get some information about your background, be it education, professional, and what you're looking to do, and also what you are willing to pay in terms of tuition because you may get a school that gives you scholarship, but some percentage of scholarship and you have to pay the rest, right?
Right.
Either ways, because we don't do like hardcore scholarship
Mhm.
applications. Once you have great documents, the school can actually offer you an entrance scholarship. And then we have a consultation where I actually break down the system to you, whether it's in Canada, now the US. I'm still trying to learn how the US system works like, but
Right.
yeah, not so much of a big difference. So basically, I would let you know all of the um, programs, and I always would look for programs that are in line with the student's background.
Mhm.
Background can be both academic or professional background. And then the student will go through it, and then once they're ready to apply, they will send their documents. They don't need to do anything. They will send their documents based on the requirements, and we do the application for them. That's because schools expect us to apply from portals, or once we are recruiting for the school,
Right.
we have direct partnerships with the school, right? So we have to do the application for the student. And that's what it looks like. Now, once you get your offer or you didn't meet a particular requirement, the school will clearly get in touch with us to help if it's an English or a documentation that they need, an extra documentation. We will liaise with you on email or whatever, and then we would submit that for you. Ultimately, you get the offer. You have to pay your tuition deposit. If you need a PAL, the school will give you the PAL. If you don't, you go straight to apply for your visa. We have two licensed or registered immigration consultants here in Canada on the team that can work
Okay.
with you. It's not mandatory because people would like to apply for their visas themselves. But if you
Mhm.
want to use our services, then we would have you work with them. And they are amazing. They have so much experience with the current trends that have been going on, and so that's also a great thing. They give you constant updates with visa submission. If you need a medical report, you do that and then you send that to them. And then ultimately, I go and welcome you at the airport. Sometimes we pick people up at the airport, but if you're going
Oh,
to like
wow.
different provinces, I mean, then you have to go to that province. So I don't get to see all my students, but I get to see some of them. So that's it. So basically, that's how the journey looks like on our end.
All right. So because you've joined this session today, you stand a chance of being selected so that SNM and their team will guide you through the process, right? So all that you need to do is to click on the like button, subscribe. Of course, remember to subscribe to the Lead SNM YouTube channel as well. And then you type in the comment section. Once you do that, you automatically enter the draw, and then we are going to select 2 people for, today. So in the middle of the conversation, we will do the first draw, and then we'll do the second draw as well to select another person.
Yeah.
This is the biggest Study Abroad content platform. We want you to understand that it is highly possible. You can also do it. So we make the content in a more inspiring and motivating way. There are a lot of negative things we can talk about, right? There are
No,
lots of hardships. There are lots of demeaning. There are lots of discouraging things. But I decide to use my platform to always focus on push positivity, and that's what we are all
yeah,
about. All right. So a lot of questions in the comments for you. So we'll pick
yeah, I'm
some of
seeing
them
them.
and see. So let's see. Danso is watching us from Italy. Yes, Canada is part of my study abroad plan. I am planning to apply for a PhD program at the University of Waterloo because of its funding opportunities. Thank you for tuning in from Italy, Danso. Danso, are
Yeah,
you a student in
Italy. Good
Italy?
to know.
Yeah. All right.
I actually had
Let's,
one student from Italy that came, but Italy, but African, right? So
okay.
that was how come I handled that student, and then they came in to study. So if I can just answer his question briefly,
Right.
um, sorry. Yes, John, so you can take advantage of it. Unfortunately, we are not able to recruit for PhD students, but
Mhm.
trust me, there are a lot of opportunities for PhD. You mentioned University of Waterloo, there is also University of Calgary, Queen's University, and all of that. University processing takes a lot of time and effort, right? So you really need to put in the work. If you've done any research or you have any papers for your previous thesis, or if you have anything that you've published, it's good to compile them and put it together in your PhD application. It's a great way to get in. And PhD has also a lot of funding opportunities aside graduate studies or tuition. You can also get stipends and all of that. So it's also a great place to explore if you're looking to explore PhD. But unfortunately, we don't recruit for PhD for the school.
All right. So is it has there been any changes when it comes to family members traveling with their spouses to study in Canada?
Yes, so early 2023, the students could come in with their spouses and kids, but now it's no more within the college and postgrad level. It's now at the master's and PhD level. So if you're enrolled in a master's program, your spouse can come in with a spousal open work permit, and your kids, depending on their age, can come in and also study for free in, say, high school or KT. So that's also the great thing. Unfortunately, you cannot come in with families within the within the college or postgrad level. Yeah, they can only probably come in as visitors, but they will not receive any incentive from the government.
Oh, I see. All right.
Yeah,
So and you know how much of you spoke about bank statement when you're applying on your own, but
yeah.
how much of financial requirement has there been an increase if you want to attach your spouse to your application?
Yes, so if you were coming alone, that'll be 21,000.
Yeah.
I've just approximated it, 21,000. So if you add one more family, it could go up to, I think, 25. And then if you have, depending on the number of children or the number of people, including you, you have to show more funds. People thought that you have to double the funds, not necessarily. I think it's about just a 2 or 3% increment,
Right.
yeah, of the initial living expenses fees. Yeah.
If you're just joining us, you're not late. So this session will still be live on the Lydia SNM YouTube channel. It would also be live across all the Fred Effects social media platforms, and so you can go back and watch them. Whilst applying for the universities in Ghana, from Ghana, you mentioned that you didn't know you were even applied to a non-eligible postgraduate work permit institution. Is that
Mm.
the only institution you applied to? What are some of the universities you applied to when you were coming?
Interestingly, that was the
Oh,
only college I had applied to.
okay.
Sorry. Yeah. That
And
was
if
the
you
only one one I had applied to.
Okay. Knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently if you were supposed to speak to young Lydia, to go about to go through this process again? What would you have done differently?
I think what I would have done differently was do a little more research. I thought I had done the research, but it wasn't. I wasn't looking at no the place I had to look at. I wasn't looking because for
Okay.
me at that point, it wasn't really about the work permit for me.
Mhm.
All I wanted to come was to be able to get here, and that
Yeah.
was it for me. But now, when I engage people, they're always thinking about the work permit or they're thinking about PR, right? I'm
Okay.
like, the work permit we can deal with that, but the PR, I'm sorry, hold it on. You can figure that out after
Okay.
your work permit because technically, because of the changing trends, lots of people have their work permits expiring and they are not still making it to PR because of the CRS calls for express entry. It's highly competitive. So my advice to people now is learn French. It makes it a little more competitive because the French calls are more lower and they are receiving more ITAs for those CRS calls between 400 or even 375 to like 400 is better. But for if you don't have friends, then you have to really be competitive, like 600 or 780. Like it's highly competitive in that sense. So if I knew what I knew now, I think if I knew what I knew now, it would be I won't be really interested in coming.
Oh, really? Okay, so that was going to lead me to my next question. For somebody who is gainfully employed, receiving a good salary back home, and still deciding to go through this process, has it been worth it?
Personally, I would say yes. Yeah, I would say yes because I considered a number of things, right?
Right.
It was not just because of me. I considered a number of things from where like the quality of life that I wanted for myself and my family.
Right.
And also, I've always loved to live outside. I mean, I think the people that I worked with before from Dream of Now Carry, they go like, as for Essie now, this is her dream. Like,
Yeah.
I've always loved to work with in multinationals and all of that. So it presented a great opportunity for me. My quality of life, the way I am able to learn from people and learning not just in a formal place, but you go for meetings with people and you see how they do things. You
Yeah.
catch up on the culture of people and it's all you're learning and relearning things, right? But there are some people as well who are families who and I think at the time as well, I wanted more for myself, right?
Okay.
Both financial, both I mentioned quality of life and both just being able to learn new things as a person, like develop myself on that level. And for me, that was why I did the move. Yeah.
Yeah, people getting Canadian study permit. We've heard stories about people getting Canadian study permit, being asked to go back at the airport, stuff like that. People struggling to get accommodation and all that. What would be your suggestion on all those stuff? Like what should people do? I have a Canadian study
Yes.
permit, and then there's a possibility I may be deported and stuff like that. What do you have to
Hmm.
say about that?
Great. So as part of my consulting or services,
Mhm.
for all students that get approved, I always would hold a session or give them information about not just your study permits, but the documents that you have that you need to at least have on hand, right?
Mhm.
It can be in your phone or on you've printed it out,
Okay.
your bank statements, access to your bank account, your offer letter, your study, we call it point of entry. That's a letter that you are authorized to come in with. And we also would always prepare them to have at least a 3 day accommodation, like a temporary accommodation when you
Excellent.
come, because once you arrive, immigration is going to ask you where are you staying and they will validate that, right?
Mhm.
So you need to at least have somewhere you are staying, someone who is picking you up and all of that. And so all these are important for you to know before you arrive,
Okay.
right? And we've had people like I've heard stories about people who come in and they're deported because someone did it for them and they do not share the information with them.
Right.
When you work with the trusted partner like Worry, we do not hide information from you. Like everything is so transparent, and people are like, I think you are explaining things too much, but
Right.
people are not used to having a very transparent
Mhm.
service, right? I've had to deal with people and they're like, you're too professional, but it's okay. You're not used to that
Right.
because um, it's an open book, right? I forward details from the school to them. I forward immigration updates to them, and they're like, "Hey," because people get to the airport and they don't even know what they are saying. But
Right.
I will make sure that you know what you are about from the onset to the end. You know the questions they're going to ask you. You are well prepared, even to the point of it's cold now. Please pack up some sweaters and buckle up, right? So
Mhm.
we give you all this information so that you are well prepared, right? And you are not here and people get to the immigration and they are very like uptight. They are
Yeah.
they are not sure what to do. They are scared, but just chill. Like once you have everything you need, just chill and you'll be fine.
We'll talk about some of the skills that people should have before maybe they plan relocating.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is. Like, is driving really a necessity in Canada? Because in the US it is.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
It
All
comes
right.
in handy if you ask me.
Awesome. So we are going to have the first draw to select our first person. We have 138 people entering now. If we could get to
Nice.
150, then we could start the first draw. So if you want to stand a chance of being selected so that the S&M team would guide you through the study in Canada process for free, then you type in, you respond to the question. So you type in the country and time. Want to know where you're watching us from. What is the current time at your end? Um, it is currently 1:26 p.m. What's the time at your end is now?
It's 2:26. I think
Oh,
we are an
okay. All right.
hour
One
past.
hour ahead of me. All right.
Yeah.
So let us know that the time at your end, which country you're watching us from. And let's hear from you if Canada is on your study abroad destination list. I think the immigration, updates sort of scared a lot of people. There were a lot of news around that, don't come to Canada again, and there are lots of things flying around. So let us know in the comment section if Canada is still on your study abroad destination list. If it is yes, why is that so? And if it is no, let us know which programs are you targeting as well. So let's get to hopefully 150. We have 143 now. We need 7 more comments, and then
Nice.
we will do the first draw, select the first person, and you have to get in touch via Instagram. So that is the only way to get in touch with effect team. If you want to if you have questions, anything like that, just go to Instagram, search for the Fred Effect. What's your Instagram handle, Islam?
It's Lydia Esinam, same name, and or Worry Africa on Instagram.
Okay. So you have the WhatsApp number. Apart from the WhatsApp number, how again do people get in touch?
It's email africa@worry.ca.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
We'll type that and show that later to people so that it
sure.
makes it easier. So
Perfect.
we need a final person. We have 140. Okay, so we are now 150. Let's have the
Nice.
first draw and see how it goes.
Oh, lucky person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Faustina.
Faustina. I hope she's still here though.
Yeah, Faustina Do is our first winner for the draw today. So Faustina, this is what you're
Let
going to
me
do.
take a picture of Faustina. Yeah.
You send a direct message on Instagram to the Fred Effect handle. It is verified. We have about over 17,000 followers on Instagram already. So please send a direct message and then get in touch with the Fred Effect team. Then we'll link you up with the Lydia team so that they help you out. So we still have one more person to select to go. So just type in the comment section, click on the like button, follow if you are yet to be part of the family. And not only are we showing you how it is done, we are also making a conscious effort to grant a helping hand, reach out to you, and to hold your hand through the process as well. Let's move on. What do you miss home?
Oh my God, I miss my family. I don't know if they're watching, but yeah, I miss my family. And aside that, I miss the food. Yeah,
Right.
the whole Ghana food, not the the fusion part of Ghana food that we are used to here. But
What
yeah,
was more difficult to get used to? Is it the weather, the accent, or the food? What was difficult to get used to?
I would say is the food, and then maybe the weather. The weather was actually, honestly, if I'm coming to Canada, forget the weather should be the last thing you should be thinking about. People had been lying to us that I don't want to go to Canada because it's cold. Come on, we are surviving here.
Yeah.
So the weather should be the last thing you're thinking about. But the food, the Canadian food is different. But once
Mm.
you have like the ingredients, you can make it the Ghana way,
Oh,
typically.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because their food is totally different. But once you know how to cook, you can have the ingredients and you can make it your own way and you
Mm.
can enjoy it. Yeah. The
All right.
accent was very good. I mean, I was like Canadian when I was 4 years old. But yeah, Canadians are very polite and they're
Yeah.
very welcoming. So it's pretty easy to sort of like integrate into the system. And I always tell people to keep an open mind because
Okay.
people over here are from diverse places around the world. So
All
once
right.
you keep an open mind, it also allows you to learn from other cultures. For instance, you go for the Diwali street festivals or you go for other events, you go for it, and Ghanaians should stop staying in their rooms and not going out.
Mm.
Like go out, meet people, network. That's how you get noticed. That's how you put yourself out there for any job referral. Research has proved that it's easier for you to get a job if you were referred by somebody in a company than to actually apply and get the job. So go and see places downtown where you are and just infuse, try other food, other things, It's a great way to integrate into the culture.
Yeah, I have had opportunity to stay in different states in the US. I think the
Nice.
lowest rent I have paid was like 312.5 somewhere in Ohio, all the way
Wow.
to
Oh yeah, Ohio is quite very
yeah,
affordable. Yeah.
all the way to like somewhere 1,600 a month
Mm-hmm.
for rent. What is the approximation? What should people expect in terms of paying for rent?
Right. So rent has actually switched up in the last couple of years
Yeah.
because a lot of international students were coming in between
Mm.
2021 and let's say 2022 and then 2024. And so you could get between 700 to 1,000 or more, depending on where you are. The closer
Yeah.
you are to the city, the more expensive it is. So
Mhm.
mostly people would stay in the outskirts where they can pay about 700 to 1,000 for like a single room with bathroom and shared
Yeah.
spaces and all of that. Yeah. So
What would
it's
be
not
your preference?
easy on the back. Sorry.
What would be your preference to stay in a city or to go to the outskirts based on
Oh,
your
I'm a
experience?
countryside girl.
Oh, okay.
I don't really like the big cities. I just like to go there and see the huge buildings and beautiful places and all
Mm.
of that. It's a little expensive living close to the city. Aside that, if you drive, there's a lot of traffic and all of that. So people who work downtown, for instance, will park their cars at the GO stations, take the train downtown and the subway, and that's fine. But it totally depends on where you are. If you're living in the outskirts, like in Hamilton or Orangeville and those places, it's quite okay. Or Palmerston, and a lot of people are moving towards the outskirts of the countryside areas. So yeah, it's good.
On the lighter side, people have the view that when I travel abroad, I'm not going to get African food. Is there a way you get African stuff? In the US, there are lots of places that you could get very good Ghanaian food, even better than home. I
Mhm.
visited like I've been to a couple of places. There's an African restaurant in Arizona and in Ohio that are very good. Are there places
Yeah.
where you could get African stuff? Can I get yam to buy?
Of
Yeah.
course, of course. Interestingly, when I came to Canada and the first few months, I got a job in an African warehouse store,
Mhm.
right? So basically, this lady is in the business of importing from Ghana. So
Okay.
her mom helps her to bring anything you can think of
Okay.
From aboniki to the food we eat to everything, right? It's
Oh,
frozen and
really?
then they bring it.
Yeah.
So we actually would supply to the African stores and the African restaurants.
Oh,
So
okay.
they actually get correct Ghana food, right? Where they make it. And these people are also Ghanaians who have immigrated, and so they have a touch of the Ghanaian, like the Ghanaian taste and the feel of it. So
All right.
yes, in Canada, there are also Ghanaian restaurant. There's this Hajia in Brampton who makes correct wache.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so there's a good amount of Ghanaian restaurants here that we always like to enjoy and eat. So yeah, it's good. Someone
Yeah.
says aboniki.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, some people do the kind of hard work people do. If not for Aboniki, people will die. Oh.
Yeah.
Especially if you work at any of the warehouses, by the time they
Yeah,
come,
everything is there from Kukonte to
yeah,
Dawa Dawa to
I
Prekese,
see.
like everything.
I think the only thing will be that it will be much expensive to sort of
Oh
try
yeah.
to eat local foods all the time compared to if you were
Mhm.
supposed
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what
It
people
would.
do is that they use the maybe the Canadian food stuff to try and make African dishes, right?
That's what I do. And then occasionally I would get like the actual, but we go to the African store to get like, let's say yam.
Yeah.
But there are some tubers like the potatoes from the Caribbean. They actually taste very good. Or
Okay.
the Caribbean, what do you call it? Peppers. There are some nationalities that have great ingredients. For
Hmm.
instance, if you want to go to the Asian stores, you get a lot of fresh items, right? If you
Yeah.
go to the Caribbean, there are things you will get there that are really good. If you go to the African store, of course, you know what you want. So it depends on where what you want and where you have to go for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
All right.
good.
So it's still the study abroad content platform. This is the biggest study abroad content platform. I'm still here with Lydia Essenham, and we are discussing the Canadian study abroad process. If you want to go through the process, that is the best platform for you. And we have already selected Faustina Adu. Faustina Adu is the first winner for today's draw. We are going to select a
Congratulations.
second person, and then we would guide you through the process. This is how we should do it. Like, if people have been able to go through the process, it's just right that we don't gatekeep, we don't hide the information, and we
No.
continue to assist other
Yeah.
people. And that's the best way to go about things. All right. And and
It's
sometimes,
interesting, like when you said that, right? On top of my head, if I look at the number of people I have engaged from 2023 to like
right,
now,
mhm,
they've been like, if I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be like 500 plus because a lot of people reach out. And like I said, it's not for everybody, right? So
yeah,
some people come in and they're like, okay, I'll think about it, and there are others who are like hardcore, they are coming for it. So it's good for people to just come get the information and educate themselves, and then just go back and figure out what they really want. And then for those who really want to go on, they would come in and just see it through. So yeah,
all
you
right.
don't have to gatekeep.
So somebody said you are Boniki campaigner. Shout out
Oh
to
my
Haruna.
goodness.
All right. So we'll do the second draw, and then probably
Sure.
we draw curtains on our conversation for today. Let's see who gets selected for the second time.
Yay, fingers crossed, fingers crossed,
All
fingers
right.
crossed.
Okay. Amankwa Richard.
Yay.
Okay, shout out to
Got
Amankwa
it.
Richard. You're the second person being selected today. So it's great to be part of the family. We are not only here to teach you how it can be done, we are also here to help out, hold your hand. I tell people every time that the Fred
Mm-hmm.
Effect team has impacted a lot of lives. So once you click on the subscribe button, you like, you comment, you share the videos we do, you are equally contributing to somebody's success. This year alone, we
Yeah.
partnered with a lot of people to buy flight ticket for a lot of international students who are coming to
Nice.
study in the US, and we continue to do that. So the only thing you can do here, um, you know, All right. I think there's a local person there. Shout outs to Joseph. Joseph Wadu, where are you talking to me from? This means that Joseph Wadu probably knows me very well with this comment. Anyway,
Right.
yeah, there's a lot of nephew joined too, my brother. Anyway,
Yay.
all right. So
I see a lot of people messaging me, but don't worry, I'll get back to you like on Monday.
all
I
right.
try not to work on weekends and all of that, but for sure I'll get back to you.
Let's try to see if we can put the number out there. What's the WhatsApp number? It's supposed to be +1.
Yeah, it's +1643. Are you
Six,
typing it or
yeah,
something?
I'm trying to type it.
Oh, right. Just give me a second.
All
Just
right.
me. I don't know my office number of it.
Okay, so +16. Okay, I see
Six
the
four
+1
seven. Yeah,
647
647 562 8837.
8837, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
let's see if what I'm showing is correct. +16. This is a WhatsApp number.
Yeah,
Plus one
it's
six
only on
four
WhatsApp.
seven 562 8837. So you
That's
can
correct.
contact the team via WhatsApp. Just let them know the assistance you need, and then they'll be happy to assist you. So this is the WhatsApp number. Let's put out the email. What is the email address?
It's africa@worry.ca.
Okay, Africa at
Worry is WOORI.ca.
dot.
Charlie Alpha. Yeah.
Okay, so
I
let's see
see
if
someone
this is correct.
asking about welding and fabrication. Yes, you can come and study. That's more of a skill trade related program. So yes, you can.
So is this correct? The email.
Yes, that's correct. Africa@worry.ca.
All
Yeah.
right, so we put out the WhatsApp number, we put out the email address. Remember, you can watch this video again on the Fred Effects platforms as well. So,
Okay.
okay, uh, all right. I think TikTok doesn't like it when you mention numbers and all that. Okay, so
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. All right. So you can watch this on the Fred Effect platforms on Facebook. And so what will be your final words to everyone who tune in today? We have over thousands of people watching us across our social media platforms today.
Right. I would like to say that do not be discouraged about your study abroad opportunities. I'd always say that be determined, like always go for it. Go for it. Like you know what you want, go for it. If Canada doesn't smile at you, look elsewhere in the US. I
Yeah.
believe that everybody wants better opportunities or a better life, better self, everything that you want for yourself, right? Just go for it. Don't be discouraged if your visa was refused one time, go again. I've had like two people whose visas were refused before they engaged us, and then we assisted them and they got approved. So like don't give up if your visa is denied. Try again or look elsewhere and just go for it. Get the right information, get the right people to help you. A lot of people fall prey to paying so much and really don't get the value of how much they paid to agents paying so much money. Like, no, just get the right information and be able to pay for quality value, right? Even if you have to. And we as education consultants are more of like coaches than like not helping you. We actually take you through the process and we help you all through to the end. And we actually like to see people succeed on their journeys. It's amazing. It's something I really can't put words to. Like that feeling is it's awesome. So I
Yeah.
think that's what I would like to say. Just reach out to us, and whether it's Fred or myself, and we'll be more than happy to help you. Okay, in Canada and in the US.
All right. So our
But
winner.
let's also like say thank you so much for
Yeah, sure.
bringing me on here.
Anytime. So the second winner was Amankwa Richard. Amankwa, please send a direct message on Instagram and then we'll connect you with the Lydia Sinam team. So Lydia,
Yeah,
thank you very much for your time and I
thank
appreciate
you so much.
you here and giving us that clarification. I have learned a lot too. Thank you so much.
Sure.
All right, so this has been another episode of the Study Abroad podcast with the Fred Effective. This is the first time you are, checking out our, live session. Remember that we do this and every weekend, and sometimes we'll give you the opportunity to, request the microphone and then join us in the studio to interact with our guests as well. And by typing your questions in the chat, you join the family and you stand a chance of being selected to get free guidance to go through the process. My name has been Fred, and what I always preach is positivity, that it is possible, you can do it. It is more encouraging, it is more rewarding. And, don't fixate your mind so much on the end goal. Enjoy the process, enjoy the university applications, enjoy the research you're doing, whilst, going through the stress of getting recommenders to, help you out. Enjoy the process. It is a process. It's not an end to itself. It doesn't look as if that, once you're able to get to Canada, all your problems will be solved. Once you're able to get to the US, all your problems will be solved. It's a process. When you get admission, celebrate it. It is part of the process, whether it came with scholarship or not. How do people get scholarship? It is when they are able to get admission, that's where the scholarship follows. You understand? So enjoy the process. Be happy with the little, gain you get when a school gives you admission. Don't be so sad that it didn't automatically come with scholarship. It is the admission that starts the scholarship process. So, take it one step at a time. Be positive about the process. Talk to people who have been through the process, who can, speak to you positively. There are a couple of friends, there are a couple of family members. Once we share our little wins with them, it looks as if they don't want us to move on. Those are not the negative, those are the negative people, and you don't necessarily have to associate yourself with them. My name has been Fred. This is the biggest study abroad content platform. Remember that to get in touch, you can send a direct message to the Fred Effect team on Instagram, and we'll be happy to respond to you. Also, there's a way you can schedule a one-on-one meeting if you find value in what we are going to help you out with. And this is how you're going to do it. I'm quickly going to share that on the screen. So it's a seller link. You can use that link to schedule a one-on-one meeting. And then at the moment, the team handles undergraduate applications for free. So if you have a high school, you have a diploma qualification, you want to pursue a bachelor's degree, just schedule a one-on-one meeting. The team will handle your application for free. Also, the team has, collaborations with Argo Visa. Argo Visa is a team of former visa officers who, would go through your process, go through your document, organize a mock interview for you. You have to talk to a former visa officer before you actually go in front of a visa officer to be interviewed. This is the US process I'm referring to. So schedule a meeting with the Argo Visa team. They'll be happy to assist you. My name has been Fred. Please be positive and know that everything will be fine. I'll see you next week.